Hi, everyone. I'm Thane Rosenbaum. I'm the creative director of the Forum on Life, Culture, and Society at Touro University, and coming to you live from our FOLCS studio. Welcome to our FOLCS Conversation series. Tonight, a super special night, the 60th anniversary and celebration of the film version of The Sound of Music, iconic film from 1965. Yes, it is 60 years ago. It is a movie that is so not just legendary, but it does nothing but just make people happy. There's very few films that you can say that about. And I remember when I was in kindergarten, yes, it's true. I was once in kindergarten, and in addition to finger painting, I think pretty much all we did was sing the 5 or 6 key songs from The Sound of Music. And I have such really happy memories of this because it really is so much part of my childhood, and so many others can clearly identify with that. This is a film, need I remind you, that won 5 Oscars, including one for Best Picture. It has been inducted into what's called the National Registry of the Library of Congress, which means that it is a cultural monument for the United States. Not many movies get in that, and this essentially sends a message. This is one of our most important cultural achievements. And I think it's the most financially successful film adaptation of a Broadway play ever. I could be wrong, but someone may know the true answer to that. But I've read that in a few places and I went, really? That too is an impressive monument. We have 3 super special guests. First, we have Brigitta von Trapp. She is there she is. Hey, Christina. She is, yes, related to the family Von Trapp. She is the granddaughter of Georg and Maria. She is the daughter of the youngest of the Von Trapp children, Johannes, and we'll talk about more about the family members. Not surprising about Christina, she knows a little something about mountains. She can climb them and ski down them and cross-country them. She is not only a pro at that as an instructor, but she runs the Von Trapp family lodge and resort in Stowe, Vermont, and we're going to see some footage from that as well. Also with us tonight, we have Oscar Andy Hammerstein III. There he is. That's Andy. It's his nickname, but his real name is Oscar Hammerstein III, which means that his namesake is his grandfather, Oscar Hammerstein II, who was the lyricist for the Broadway and the film version. And in fact, with his partner, Richard Rodgers, who wrote, the composer, wrote many iconic films that we're going to talk about today. Oscar, knowing that his name is synonymous with musical theater, is a part of the family legacy. He is, in fact, a musical theater historian as a teacher and as an author, and he even teaches libretto writing. So welcome, Andy. And our last guest is Angela Cartwright, who in the movie played Brigitta, and I'm not mistaken, she was perhaps the 3rd youngest, am I right? 3rd or 4th youngest. Mm-hmm. She's also the one in a very cute way says to Maria, I think she says, hey, you're smart, which it was actually like, among others. I always thought like that was a great little moment. Some of you may remember Angela, I certainly do. She was on the Danny Thomas sitcom show in the 1950s and 60s. And better yet, much better yet, she played Penny Robinson in Lost in Space. Who can forget Penny Robinson? She's now an artist and a photographer, and she's a jewelry maker. We're going to see some of that as well. So welcome all of you for this very special night. So awesome to have you here. Let me start with the general question, and then we'll talk about some of the mementos that you brought us. What is it that you each think is so unique, special about the film that makes it so endearing to millions around the world and enduring? It just seems to have legs and is always immensely popular. What is it? You've done other things, you've seen other things. Andy, in your case, your grandfather has written other things. And the Von Trapp family has done other things. They've had an entire life outside of Austria. What is it about this film that you think makes it so singular?
In a way, I think of it sometimes as if it was a swan song to the kind of music that would follow it. It marked an end of an era, in fact. The show came out in 1965, and by 1963, the Beatles had landed. So in a way, it was a fitting testament to the
Wow.
golden age of musicals. But I don't really think
I
it
have
was ever
something to
really
add
the
to that
same.
that we're going to talk about later, but that's a great entry point for me. I'm so happy you set that up because I think that there's something
It
about the
is.
1960s itself that's interesting because the film is really about liberation and autonomy. And guess what?
Yes.
The 1960s, that's what about. So we'll get to that. Great way to set me
I
up.
would add that it resonates for women to see a woman of agency in a movie like that, because most of the time these shows are just like pursuing the female lead.
Yeah,
In this
that's so
case,
great.
it's more about empowerment,
Yeah.
and that's
Either of you have anything else you might add to that? We can move on if you don't.
Yeah, no, I would say I think okay, so full disclosure, I grew up without a television, so I didn't see the movie until I was maybe around 10. And it was hard for me to reconcile the movie with my lived experience with my cousins and my aunts and uncles. But I see the movie as really about it's a love story of love of children, adult love, love of country, and hope and resiliency, and that change isn't terrible and good things can come to fruition, even if your whole world is uprooted. Um,
Cool.
and unfortunately, those things are still happening these days.
Yep.
Again, I also go back to the music and lyrics are fabulous, and
Yeah.
that really connects with everybody.
Angela, you sang those music and lyrics.
Yes, I did. And they're beautiful and they're still sung today. I mean, it's hard to find a kid that hasn't been one of the Von Trapps in a play that they were cool. My daughter was Maria and my son was not only Kurt, but the captain also, years later. Um, I think it also has
Wait, hold on 1 second. And I bet you they didn't accept any of your stage direction.
all I did when my daughter was Maria was cry through the whole thing. It was so emotional.
I'm sure.
She's in her 40s now. I mean, this was several years ago. But I think also what I find when I talk to people, it's about family. And when they went to the theater and those velvet curtains parted, it was an experience. And
Yeah.
they remember that so lovingly that it was so great that they actually put it in theaters this year, the 60th. Disney did put it in regular theaters for a week. And I'm hoping they extend that next year because
Because the